is. So let's come back to the basics. And can you use another financial tool for infinite banking? We're going to explore that right now. If you have questions about this particular topic, I'd love to hear them in the comments. This is a quick video, so I may not have a lot of comments in this really short, narrow time frame. But if you are interested in more topics and questions like this being answered for you, please like this video and please subscribe to our channel. Now, let's talk about what infinite banking is, first of all. Infinite banking, or the infinite banking concept, was first formalized by Nelson Nash. He was the father of infinite banking, and he discovered that he had a whole life insurance policy, and he was in a financial position that was really cash strapped, and he was looking for, how can I get financing? Financing was very expensive at the time. There was a really high interest rate, and he was in forestry. He had something that he had a capital need for, and he was wondering, where is he going to get the cash? He realized, I have this whole life insurance policy that has not only a death benefit, but also cash value that I can use. So he used and accessed his own whole life insurance policy. Now, that was the defining moment for something called infinite banking. Now, I've personally been able to meet Nelson Nash before he passed away, and he is an amazing, wonderful human being, and he has written several books. One is called Becoming Your Own Banker. Another is called Warehouse of Wealth. If you can get your hands on these books, go ahead and read them. They're fantastic. Now, also, my mentor and co-host on the Money Advantage podcast has been mentored specifically and directly under Nelson Nash himself. Now, Nelson Nash had a practitioner program for insurance agents who would then design policies that worked according to the infinite banking concept, and we have that on our team as well. So just wanted to give you a little bit of backstory. So what is the infinite banking concept? It's a strategy of using a financial product. So let's talk about the strategy first. The strategy is a place to store cash, and I'm growing my money in this storage tank or this savings vehicle. And at the same time, I'm going to be able to use my money. So I'm saving it and it's earning something for me, and I'm going to use it at the same time. Now, how do we do that? Well, if you take the money out, you're not still saving it. So you can't take the money out and call that infinite banking, but you can borrow against that capital. And that is the power of infinite banking. Just wanted to make sure my mic was on and you weren't watching my mouth move and you couldn't hear me. So just wanted to check that. So infinite banking is this strategy of being able to use a storage tank or a place to store cash and then borrow against it by using other people's money, collateralizing my cash, but keeping it intact. So what does that mean? That means that my money keeps earning interest, keeps growing, keeps doing whatever it's doing in its storage tank, keeps not losing value, and I'm able to use it as collateral for something else. What is that something else? Maybe it is paying for a medical bill. Maybe it's buying a new car. Maybe it's putting a down payment on a house you're going to live in. Maybe, though, it's an opportunity. And that opportunity, when I use opportunity, I really mean investment, a place to put your money to work that's going to produce either an income or appreciate in value. This could be investing in real estate. It could be buying another business. It could be growing your business. It could be an expansion project or a marketing effort in your business to expand your territory and increase your revenue. And that would be an investment. So, can you use another product? The answer is yes, you could. So how could you use, say, a bank savings account? Well, I have my bank savings account. I could go to the bank and say, bank, would you give me a loan against my cash in my savings account? And they may say yes. And then you may have the ability to go take the loan and go put that to work in an opportunity or investment. Is that infinite banking? Sure, conceptually, that is the strategy of infinite banking. You're storing the cash, you're borrowing against it, you're putting other people's money to work somewhere else, you're getting benefits in two places at the same time because you're keeping your money and it's working for you and you're using it at the same time. Strategically, fundamentally speaking, yes, that's infinite banking. Could you use a stock account? Yes. This money is here in the stock account. I use my margin account. I borrow against that. I get leverage and I'm able to go put my money to work somewhere else. Could you use a 401k? Yes. Now, could you get the money out? Possibly. Are you currently working at a job? Do you have service withdrawals? Can you get that cash out? here's the key though. If you take money, if you borrow against your 401k, you're not going to be able to access all of the money in there. And depending on if you use a loan or withdrawal, you're going to end up paying taxes and penalties. So let's just say, ultimately, strategically, yes, I could use something else. Some people have thought about, well, what if I use the equity in my home? I've got a house, it's worth this much. I still have a little bit of a remaining balance, but I have equity in the house. This is a cash pool. Can I borrow against that and use my cash? Yes, you can. Now, the question really becomes, what does this best? And this is something that I really turn to figuring out what are the main attributes I want to accomplish: safety, liquidity, and growth. Simplified, it really comes down to that. Safety, I want my account where I'm storing my cash not to drop in value. I can't be concerned that I'm going to wake up tomorrow and my $100,000 of cash is $25,000 because of a market turn. That would not be a safe place to store cash. I need to know that I can count on it to be there. Next, I want it to be liquid. That means accessible for me to get to as quickly as possible. And I want it to be growing. So I want ultimately uninterrupted compound growth, but I want that to be competitive growth, not a very small rate of return. I want as good of growth as I can get. So when we look at the landscape of all the financial products out there, what I really come down to is the best safety and the best liquidity and the best growth comes into the product of specially designed life insurance. Specially designed whole life insurance that's dividend paying, high cash value with a mutual company. I need to clarify. So when I say I want the most safety in a life insurance product, you are not going to lose value. Once you have a cash value declared, that dollar amount will never go below that floor in the future ever again. That means once you have interest accrued, once you have your dividends, even though the dividends are not guaranteed, but they're highly anticipated, once they are paid into your policy, you are not going to have your cash value drop below that floor in the future. So it's safe. It's a safe asset. Then what about growth? I'm always going to get higher growth inside of a life insurance policy than I can ever find anywhere else with CDs or with savings accounts or money market accounts, or certainly more than just storing the cash in your safe. So if you are looking for a better growth rate, I would encourage you to look at cash value life insurance. Now, whole life insurance on a long-term basis is usually right now, based on the dividend rate and based on interest rates right now, which are both really low, you're looking at about 3 to 5% internal rate of return that's net, net, net. So net of taxes, net of costs, net of fees, your total internal growth rate over about a 30-year period. So we're looking long term, that's going to be about 3 to 5%. There's really nowhere else I can go that I can get safe money that's growing at that rate. So that's one of the reasons why I love whole life insurance. Now, again, we're looking for another component. That is liquidity. What does liquidity actually mean? That means I can access and get to my cash. Let me ask you a question. If your private reserve, if your privatized banking system, your infinite banking system is your HELOC in your house, you have to go to the bank, right, to ask them to give you the equity that belongs to you, that's in your house, that has a gatekeeper. The bank is the one who authorizes whether or not you can use your equity. You have to get a HELOC or a home equity line of credit. And even if you already have one outstanding, so first, the first question is, can I get to that money without a gatekeeper, without it being locked up in prison somewhere? The second question is it guaranteed to not drop in value? And the challenge is, if it's home equity, you could lose value. Your equity in your home could drop if the housing market as a whole drops, or the value of properties in your neighborhood or your community drops. So what I'm looking for is the best of all three, not just one, not having to give a trade-off or say, well, I got a good rate of return in my stock account with a margin account, but the problem is that I have a big risk of loss or opportunity for loss. So that doesn't give me safety and growth. I don't want just liquidity without growth either. I don't want growth without safety. I don't want safety without growth. So really what I'm looking for is the best of all three. And really when I look at it, specially designed whole life insurance does this best. Now that's why Nelson Nash said we use whole life insurance for the infinite banking concept. So can you apply this strategy in other ways in your life? Yes, absolutely. Is it the best product to accomplish the strategy if you use something else? No. So I think that's all we're going to cover today. I would say, why do we use insurance? It is the best bank. You could call it the best tank. You could call it the best suitcase for carrying your cash. You could call it the best reservoir. You could also think of it as the best garage. And I really love this analogy because if you have a car, you drive it, but not all the time. So your car is sometimes parked, and when it's parked, you want the best place for it to be safe and protected so that when you want to drive that car, it's available for you to use in that manner. And the same thing with your infinite banking system or your privatized banking system. You want your cash, when it's parked in the garage between investments, to be in the most strategic location, the best garage with the most safety, liquidity, growth. Now, if you're interested in learning more, I was going to have the cover of this, but I forgot to grab it. So we have a guide called the Privatize Banking Quick and Easy Guide for Investors. If you want to dig more into this concept of exactly how using a whole life insurance policy and borrowing against it to put to work in something as simple as one real estate investment, how in the world that could be better for you than investing directly, we have a guide that answers that specific question. So interestingly enough, even though you do pay interest to use the insurance company's money when you take a life insurance loan, and even though you give up access to some of your cash up front with the lack of liquidity when you start a privatized banking or infinite banking policy, you will improve the returns in your outside investments, your external returns, by having that safe, liquid, growing capital in this infinite banking strategy. If you want to learn more, we have the Privatized Banking Guide. The link is down below at privatizedbankingsecrets.com. And if you're ready to say, hey, I really want to implement this in my own life, you can book a call directly on our calendar, figure out if we're the right fit in working with you and if we like each other. And you can do that at themoneyadvantage.com/calendar. I want to make sure if you want more videos like this, please ask questions in the comments. I'd love to answer them in a comment or possibly do a whole video on your specific question. And I really am passionate about making sure that you have clarity in this area of your life, because I think there's so many times that people want to move forward, but just don't know what to do because they don't have the right information. So I'd love to help you get the right information to make decisions, whatever those decisions are, so you can make them with confidence and clarity. Now, please, if you like this video, like it by hitting the like button and go ahead and subscribe to our channel. We cannot wait to have you join our community, and I will be with you next time.